the authority. If they want to speak, then we'll go that route and we'll do Chewini and then Sharon. But I need to see some hands. That'd be better. Thanks.
What's up, guys? My name's
Hey.
Alex. I also go by the
Oh,
Authority.
sorry, Alex. Hi. I've never spoken to you, so.
This is
Hey,
my
Alex, this is the first time we've spoken. It's good to talk to you, man.
The other thing that came out of the pit was we had some really important introductions made to us of some people that now we've ended up employing. A couple of them went to work for Catherine. One of them's coming to work for me. Really, they're going to help us. From my side, they're going to help me pull the fusion center together. We've had all sorts of needs for acquisition and ingesting of data. On Catherine's side, the authorities coming in to really not to be just a meaningful part of this, but really begin to really take over some of the research and some of the ongoing activities that Catherine and True the Vote bring in. So there are lots and lots of different things going on out there, y'all. I encourage you to, if you want to get engaged, info@truethevote.org. Reach out to somebody, one of us on Truth. The authorities, as I said, he's really taking over a lot of some of the True the Vote research activities.
Welcome back as we continue our coverage of Decision 2022.
And the war on disinformation and how election conspiracies are having an impact on this year's campaigns. Good evening, I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. On Friday, the Attorney General's office announced key players in an election conspiracy claim misled the public and never provided evidence that they claim to have.
But one expert on disinformation says that a lot of damage has already been done.
Team 12's Joe Dana explains.
So that they can explain what they have. Thank you, Shauna.
On May 31st, Republican state lawmakers held an unusual hearing involving extraordinary claims about U.S. elections.
Make sure that these elections are secure.
East Phoenix lawmaker Shauna Bullock hosted the hearing, giving the floor to two self-described election watchdogs from Texas.
So I just want to thank you for being here.
Catherine Engelbrecht and Greg Phillips.
Catherine and I are working with Sheriff Lamb and other sheriffs around the country.
Their theory was the premise of the 2000 Mules movie, touted repeatedly by top GOP candidates for office. Candidate for governor Kari Lake chided reporters for not giving more attention to the movie's claims.
We're going to go watch the movie 2000 Mules, which I hope that the Arizona Republic will finally open their eyes and cover. Our elections were stolen from us.
The movie claims geolocation, cell phone data, and surveillance videos prove nonprofit organizations paid mules to illegally collect and deposit ballots into drop boxes, rigging the election for Joe Biden.
True the Vote has the largest store of election intelligence for the 2020 elections in the world.
During the hearing, the pair were asked if they could reveal those nonprofit organizations who they suggested were criminals.
Are you able to disclose which nonprofit organizations?
We would love to put that list out. The but is, we also need law enforcement to be able to do their jobs.
They were also asked if they shared their allegedly damning geolocation evidence with the state attorney general.
There seems to be a bit of controversy amongst us. They'll get another copy of it.
And what about the FBI?
We have already given this data to the FBI.
But on Friday, Arizona Attorney General Chief Special Agent Reginald Grigsby slammed the two for their claims and recommended Engelbrecht and Phillips be investigated by the FBI, writing, True the Vote is adamant it had evidence of ballot stuffing and voting fraud despite repeated requests. True the Vote never did provide the information it purported to have in its possession. And True the Vote began to publicly assert they provided us with the information and the Phoenix office of the FBI. Not only is this patently false, True the Vote acknowledged to us during a meeting with them they had not given us the information.
This is a new moment.
Dr. John Carlson of the Recovering Truth Project at ASU researches disinformation.
There's a very clear realization that the promotion of the fraudulent 2020 election, so-called, is a real boon for fundraising. And so there are a lot of folks who are at the upper political level who are sort of like wink, wink, nod, nod. We know we have to say this. This is really good for us. But we know it's not true.
Fact checks and bipartisan election integrity organizations concluded long ago the 2000 Mules movie was not credible.
The problem is that there are many people who are listening to them who absolutely believe that the election was stolen.
And there are consequences.
With the information that you provided to us,
Representative Bullock said more than 100 so-called voter integrity bills proposed at the legislature were influenced in part on 2,000 Mules. Carlson calls hearings like this political theater. He says voters should pay attention not to what people and politicians claim on blogs and in movies, but what is actually provided as evidence under oath.
Offering testimony in a court of law where if you don't speak the truth, you can be held accountable and liable for perjury.
He worries too many voters take these conspiracy theories too seriously.
The real concern going forward, I think, is that those who might want to subvert the rules, change the rules, or engage in anti-democratic behavior, even violence, if you don't win.
We asked Representative Bullock and candidate for Governor Kari Lake if they have a response to the Attorney General's letter about 2,000 mules. So far, they have not responded to our request.
I've lived in Denton for over 24 years. I have been voting here for 2 decades. As we can see, I am real. I am here. I am talking to you.
If you're wondering why Daniel Moss is defending his existence, it's because of this list.
That's my first name. That's my last name.
Of thousands of voter registrations in Denton County being challenged as ineligible.
Finding out that I'm on some sort of hit list of people who shouldn't be voting. I was pretty pissed off.
How did Moss, a legally registered American voter in the state of Texas and a university administrator, end up having his voter registration challenged? Because of the efforts of one group.
Hi there, I'm Catherine Engelbrecht with True the Vote.
True the Vote, a right-wing organization fueled by the MAGA movement.
All of a sudden in certain states they found all these votes, a totally rigged election.
And the lies that the 2020 election was stolen with illegal ballots.
Welcome to the IV3 project. You have arrived in the nick of time.
This is the group's online training session for IV3, a user-friendly app pushed by True the Vote, recruiting and training thousands of private citizens on how to submit challenges to local election offices.
We've got to report what we can and get it as accurate as we can, and it is making an enormous impact.
Adding up to about 700,000 challenges to voters across the country so far. Documents obtained by CNN show many of them use the exact same language. Daniel Moss's challenge came from someone he doesn't even know.
I want to say it was Nancy.
Nancy lives in the same county and single-handedly sent in thousands of challenges this year. We asked around for her.
I'm trying to talk to Nancy.
But she did not come to the door.
Nancy sends me something every day.
Frank Phillips is Denton County's elections administrator. As November looms, it's not just Nancy sending in challenges now.
There have been days where I've received a couple of thousand names.
Isn't it overwhelming to get thousands of names every day?
It can be. I've had to look each of those voters up one by one. Roughly 75 to 80% of the names they give me, we have already dealt with.
And the rest of the names?
Well, you would catch them anyway. There's safeguards built into the whole system for any issue you can dream of.
Meaning any of these questionable voters, like the people who have moved away, the system would eventually catch them anyway. More than a dozen election officials CNN spoke with say they're getting the same challenges, many from IV3 users, when there's already a system in place that prevents fraud. But that's not stopping the leader from claiming this.
In the space of elections, the fraud has been institutionalized.
True the Vote is based in Texas.
First, we went to try and find True the Vote's office location, the one it lists on its website as well as federal tax forms. But we didn't find a brick and mortar office. Instead, we ended up here at a post office with a bunch of P.O. boxes. Next, we came here to this strip mall that the state of Texas lists as the current address for True the Vote. But looks like it's a business that files income taxes, and it's a functioning office, but no True the Vote.
These mass voter challenges are definitely a page out of the election denial playbook. There is a bigger picture impact on our democracy, which is that weakening trust in elections and creating an environment where you can cast out or question the results of an election after the fact.
Back in Denton County, Daniel Moss will be allowed to vote. Elections Administrator Frank Phillips found the challenge was wrong. For the people who are making all these endless challenges, he's chosen patience and education.
In their mind, they think, hey, you've got thousands of people on your rolls that shouldn't be there, which turns out not to be the case. They come in with a preconceived notion. My job is to explain reality.
Kim joins us now. So, Kim, we saw that you never actually found the True the Vote office. Did you ever manage to reach anyone there?
Oh, we did reach them electronically, and they did send us a statement, and it says about its app, quote, it has developed a specialized processes, technologies, and methodologies that have been affirmed by experts and courts. But they wouldn't specify who those experts and courts are, nor would they answer specific questions from CNN. We did speak with election administrators across this country who say a lot of the challenges coming from this app are just repetitive and sometimes, as you saw in our story, Anderson, flat out wrong. Despite all this, the 2020 election and all of the information and misinformation surrounding it has been a cash windfall for True the Vote. In the last 3 years of publicly available records, True the Vote has pulled in some $12 million. That's despite having, as you saw, no offices. And
Yeah, nice to talk to you too. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't really talk in spaces very often, so it feels good to be here, and I'm just gonna lay it all out here for you guys as far as the conversation that I've heard and some of the experiences that I've experienced over the last couple of years, and hopefully it can add some context. You guys were talking before about the Roger Stones, the Mike Flynn's, the Pozos, the Alex Joneses, the Ivan Ranklins, the Bannons. And I just want to first say, like, they don't represent anybody on my side. Like, I've been an avid Q follower since December 2017. I mean, I have it tattooed all over my body. I'm as hardcore Q as you guys can get. Um, and I just want to say that we've been battling their narratives and their BS from the beginning, just as long as you guys have. We don't want them. We don't like them. They don't deserve a place in our movement. And I just wanted to just say that first. And I also wanted to compliment you, Gal, about the influence op. And it's just so real. You nailed it. They all seek the influence to control the minds of others. I was inside of a network called We the Media for about 18 months or so. and it was comprised of 56 total members once before I destroyed it. It was created by IET, Jordan Sather, Kate Awakening, some others like that, and they're all large quote unquote Q influencers, but they don't, they don't actually follow Q. Like, I remember joining their back channels and saying to myself, these are not the people that I used to research with on the chans. They don't know how to research. They don't know how to do any of this. And I'm really grateful for my time in there. I learned a lot about the enemy because these people are not on my side and they are not on your side either. And I think that's where the disconnect is because they did run an influence op. I think it was, I don't know, 2 to 3 billion impressions a week they used to do collectively. And they all would narrative seed and push each other's narratives, and they created their own echo chambers, and they really did radicalize a lot of people into believing a lot of BS. That wasn't really sourced, or half truths, stuff that people can say, I can see that, I can get behind that. But, they were not the people that I used to research with anonymously. And I'm a very fact-based driven person. I have to see the facts. I have to feel them. I have to verify them. I want people to poke holes in my research. I don't want someone to just take the things that I say at face value. And their whole goal is to create division. I mean, realistically, we're allowed to have different perspectives and different views. Jim, you're allowed to believe X, Y, and Z. I'm allowed to believe X, Y, Z, and that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our own beliefs. As long as they fall under the Constitution, we should be allowed to live and think however the hell we want to. And a lot of these operators, because that's what they are, they're operators. They're operating on behalf of you know ex-military industrial complex or intelligence agency. Because from my perspective, someone who's been in this space since virtually the beginning, these people are not on, like I said, they're not on my side, they're not on your side.
There's a whole word for it that people aren't aware. The word is red pill. So people have heard the term, to red pill somebody. Just briefly, let me explain where red pill comes from. Red pill was initially, speaking of the theme of we've been talking about, was initially a board devoted to incels and misogyny on Reddit in 2012, 2013. And red pill gradually morphed into a more generalized sort of alt-right term for presenting traumatic, violent, horrific content to quote normies in order to traumatize them and indoctrinate them into a cult. So whenever you see, somebody with a Twitter account, I'm Red Pill Drifter 17 or whatever, they're advertising the way that they were brainwashed, and advertising what they're trying to do to others, and doing intentionally and actively. They say out loud, use this to red pill your family at Christmas, right? Shit like that. And it'll be like some horrible, completely false thing, and they might know it's false, but it doesn't matter, because the goal is to get people into the same mental club as you. And it's the fact that this has been sort of laundered over the years as something just kind of, this little MAGA thing. It's not. It is a psychological weapon. That is what is being described.
They're on, it seems like, their own side. They're trying to protect their own asses. And as far as the whole left right thing, I don't trust anybody on the right. I don't trust anybody on the left. I think the whole system is completely flawed, and it doesn't benefit the people in any way. You know, what has the right done to try and fix any problem in our country? What has the left done to fix any problem in our country? I mean, look at the state of our nation. I mean, it's just reality. You know, if we take a step back from our own points of views and just look at things for what they are, we're like, wow. But at the same
Yeah.
time, these people are running around saying, oh, World War III, and all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's just like, you look around in your regular life, not much has really changed other than the price of things. So it's like there really is a war for the narrative, and to narrative see people's minds. And you're definitely right about digital soldiers trying to take this to the next level, make it real. I mean, look at Ivan Ranklin. And all these clowns out there salivating over the thought process of assassinating Trump. I mean, who salivates over anyone being assassinated? I don't care how much you don't like somebody. I'm just ranting at this point, but I just wanted
No,
to get
you're
on here
you're
and
you're
say,
not
yeah.
ranting. You're not ranting at all, man. It's like, can I just want to say this out loud. Like, there are. I don't give a shit what people believe. What you just said, I don't think I disagreed with a single thing that you said. To be perfectly honest with you. Which is amazing, right? In many ways, and I think is a model for hopefully how we can get through this together. You drew a line in your belief system, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but what I've observed, is you drew a line where you saw, hey, wait a second, these people are violence at the Capitol, right? Something completely contrary to the Constitution. It's just about basic values, about the values of nonviolence, of wanting peace in the world as opposed to violence. Wanting democracy instead of fascism, wanting America instead of some foreign country. And so regardless of we could argue about Q all night long, but let's not,
Yeah.
because it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I please, by all means, have, do what you do. Let's tell a story. When we told this story on Twitter, some of you may have remember this thread, but this is the way that is the easiest way for me to think about it and maybe communicate how this whole process kind of works. So let's imagine we have a woman named Jane. She's 40s, got a couple kids. Say she's in Ohio. She's been a Democrat forever, but she lives in a pretty purple state, and she has lots of friends from the other side of the aisle, and that's okay. She hangs out with them at church. They go to, they socialize at soccer games and all that good stuff, right? Perfectly normal American, kind of person. Also, highly desirable demographic, right? In swing state, and someone who is a target. So imagine one day, right after church, a friend of hers, call her Laura, says, "Hey Jane, you ever
talk about, or you know anything about child trafficking? Jane says, well, I certainly know it exists, and it's obviously terrible. Why do you ask? She says, well, I'm in this group of people who's really trying to do something about child trafficking, and I wanted to send you a video just to kind of show you what we're up to. And Jane says, sure, of course, why not? No reason to think anything wrong with that. So Jane gets home, and, kids are outside, she grabs a glass of wine, looks at the video. The video is very strange to Jane. She doesn't quite understand what she's seeing. It says, Q, trust the plan. There's this, very sort of interesting but trance-like music going on. Boom, boom, boom. And there's the actor seems to be reading in this very kind of interesting, almost monotonal cadence. And Jane is pretty quickly sucked in. It's intriguing. It seems mysterious and interesting. And then, just as she's starting to kind of get into it and feel, interested in what's going on, these horrible images of tortured and hungry and beaten kids come in. And, just the worst things you can imagine with this scary soundtrack. And she's shocked. Oh my God, who did this to these kids, right? That's, especially for a mother, that's going to be the first thing you think of, right? Who did this to these kids? Because they are real pictures, unfortunately, of hurt children. And, after watching this very slick kind of opening, she has to kind of believe that, at least there's something to it. And then the answer comes. The answer, of course, to who did it. Well, Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. She can't take it anymore. She can't take her eyes away from it, but she also can't take seeing what she's seeing. Could they have really done this to these kids, right? So she's in this very vulnerable state. Her mind is separate. Her emotions are so strong that she has to suppress them. And so she has this kind of, rational mind above that's just, very calm about the whole thing, waiting to see what happens. And after, an interminable amount of time of this, brutal imagery, everything changes again. And the music switches to patriotic songs and, images of clouds and children and pictures of Donald Trump. Vladimir, not Vladimir Putin back then, but these days, Vladimir Putin would show up. Julian Assange, Q, all of the patriots, right? Whatever QAnon accounts that are being promoted swoop in as the solution to the evil that's being done to these children, right? She is in pain, so much pain from seeing these kids and what's been done to them. And then the solution comes, right? And seals that pain off. Seals it off in a way. Says, don't worry about that. We got you. And kind of appeals to the part of Jane that is separate. And it works. You know, after just one video, Jane is now had imprinted on her into the most vulnerable part of her, that Hillary Clinton abuses, eats, sucks the blood from children, whatever that particular video says. You know, that Soros and the Jews are behind it all, right? And that Donald Trump and Mike Flynn and Q are going to save these children. That's why Save the Children became a QAnon slogan. It was because that's what they thought it was about. But it doesn't stop there, of course. It's just one video. But Jane's compelled. She's Laura. Oh my God, is this real? It's not real, is it? And remember, she's hurt. She's shaken. And Laura says, oh, I know it's hard to see, but we have to do it for the children. We have to watch it. We have to come to grips with what's happening. Why don't you come over? I'll show you some more. Now, Jane doesn't necessarily want to see any more of that, but she does feel that she's just being a responsible mother and a responsible American to go see what's really happening here. Politics hasn't even really entered her mind, other than the fact that, you know, Donald Trump was in the video. She's focused on the kids. Anyway, she goes over to Laura's and they have some wine and Laura shows her all these websites and they watch all these videos and they spend hours and hours and Jane's mind gets more and more fractured each time she watches these videos and sees these lies. And Laura shows her there are these huge communities all over the place. Look at this Telegram channel. Look at this Facebook group. There's so many of us. We can't all be wrong. That makes sense to Jane. So Jane signs up for Telegram, joins the Facebook groups, starts investigating on her own. She does her own research. And gradually, over the course of a few weeks or a few months, Jane becomes a victim of undue influence. Her family starts to notice. She loses interest in just about everything except for Laura and her phone. she's saying all kinds of weird stuff about, Democrats. She's been a Democrat all her life. About Hillary Clinton. What is she talking about? She wants us to go to a Trump rally? And, everyone has a right to change their politics, but it doesn't seem right to anyone. Not to her husband, not to her kids, not to her family. Laura understands. Laura understands everything. She's the only one. Well, now all of her friends on Telegram, they understand. It's a detached kind of version, a ghost of the person that was there before. Now, how much of the original them is left depends on how hurt they are, how victimized they've been, how coerced by propaganda and lies and, cult dynamics. How severe is the damage? But everyone who is exposed to this for long enough is damaged. So, one of the things that has driven me, as I mentioned before, is trying to figure out from people like Stephen Hassan, okay, if you had Jane as a client, how would you talk to her? What would you say? What are the right ways and wrong ways to talk to cult members? And you know what? There are answers. There are answers. It's not something that normal people cannot help with. Again, we're not talking deprogramming. We're not talking about, psychological interventions. We're just talking about rehumanizing people and understanding that the person that they know is still there. They're just trapped. They've been traumatized and dissociated, and a lot of themselves is now been submerged. And this kind of weird ghost of their former self that people always talk about, it's the most common thing I used to hear is, I just don't recognize her anymore. Who is he? It's my husband, but I don't know him anymore, right? So you hear all this stuff, and you see the harm that's caused. And you see that there are people who know what to do about it. And so for me, there was and I've talked about this before, I started a whole volunteer group, and I'm not going to get into all of that right now. All right. I'm a little bit drained. This stuff is hard for me to talk about. So I'm going to leave it there for right now. But, I will be writing more about this. It's been a while since I've, really kind of got back into this part of things. But, it is really the most important thing. we can do is, figure out how to help our fellow citizens. So, anyway, thank you for listening. Take care. What you're not doing is hurting anyone, and I appreciate that more than you know.
because some of the people who came from the same place are. And it makes you different. And I just wanted to tell you I appreciate that. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Jim.
it.
I,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the civil discourse that we're able to have. This is how it should be. And, if we take that list that I listed in the beginning, the Pozos and the Flynns and all of them, if you pull them out of the picture, this is what it would look like. We would be able to have civil discourse about anything we want to talk about. And, it just makes it harder when they're operating out there in the background doing their thing. So, yeah, I just wanted to keep it kind of short and brief and just come say hi to everybody. And, I'm not some crazy lunatic. So,
You're not at all, man. We see you out there, and we disagree on a lot of things, but we agree on the important things, and that's all that fucking matters to me.
yep,
That's all that matters.
absolutely.
So thank you, Alex. It means a lot for you to come up here. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yeah,
bro.
thanks for coming up.
And to hell with anybody who gives Alex shit for talking to the enemy. Fuck you.
I
So,
think from what I've seen that the little bit, I know you guys are way more informed on the dynamics of Alex and the Q movement. From what I've seen, he is brave. Brave for speaking out. And,
absolutely.
I mean, it's hard to swim upstream, and it
Well,
seems,
they're brutal.
yeah.
And I've experienced this firsthand.